Howdy, YouTubians, YouTubeites, YouTubians. I think YouTubians is right. Welcome back to the channel. I am sorry for the long hiatus. If you haven't noticed, we're in a different location. If you don't follow me on TikTok or Instagram, you probably don't know that I just moved to New York. I'm no longer in Southern California. This is my apartment in New York, which is crazy to say. I am so blessed and so excited for this chapter of my life, y'all. I think that my fashion is about to get so much more exciting and interesting, but anyways, I digress. That's for a future time. Actually, I forgot to put on my necklaces. Hold on, let me complete the outfit for you. Should I change my intro video? I thought about actually going around New York and recording some fun clips. It'll take me a while to get the right clips, but I don't know. Leave that in the comments. I do enjoy the YouTube intro that I use because it's just funny and from one of my favorite shows, one of my favorite scenes from my favorite shows, but it could be cool to change it up for a new chapter. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Today, we're here to talk about dressing for hot weather. Now, this was something that I struggled to make a video about before because I lived in Southern California, and to be completely honest, the weather doesn't really get that hot. Like, it would get up to 85, I guess, but it's not really that hot. These past couple weeks that I've lived in New York, y'all, oh my God. If you live here, the heat wave has been insane. I feel like the heat wave has kind of hit most of, like, I don't know, everybody, but I was in 100-degree humid weather. I was not used to it, and for the first time, I found myself thinking, oh my gosh, how do I dress for hot weather? Like, I understand why all these people are asking me now, because like, this is truly hot weather, not what I'm used to. So in that, there has been, I guess, a couple things that stood out. I guess they're more so tips and tricks and things that I'm doing personally in terms of styling myself for this hot weather, or I guess amidst this hot weather. The first thing I'm going to talk about is shorts, obviously. I mean, I've never really been a short person. I've always preferred to wear pants. And in the summers in California, for the most part, I actually could kind of get away with that. I wouldn't wear shorts all too often. I would every so often, but like at nights it cools off in California. So I could get away with pants during the day, sweat it a little bit, and then be fine at night. Out here, oh my gosh, you have to wear shorts. It's hot in the day and then it stays hot at night. Because of that, I have really had to learn how to style shorts. And there's really like kind of two, I guess maybe three pairs that I think I'm gravitating towards this summer. The first are the very, trendy, long, big shorts. And it's taken me a while to come around to these because I find that it's very hard to find a pair that I think fits well. So let me show you an example from the shorts actually that I got recently. Hold on, let me find them for you. Now, jorts are still, jorts, like jean shorts are still really popular, but I find myself not really wearing jorts as much and more so gravitating towards, sorry, my room's a mess, by the way. Like I said, I literally just moved. So, I mean, if you can't tell, I haven't really unpacked or done anything, but again, I digress. These are a new pair of shorts that I got. When it comes to longer silhouettes for shorts specifically, I found myself preferring things that are very like flowy, very not structured, which is, these have a pleat, but the fabric on these is pretty thin, so they move around a lot. Same with these, like they're a very, they're a longer short, they are pleated, but they're very like light and flowy. I think it just looks better when you walk. I think when they're too structured, and by structured, I mean like when the material is so thick that it holds its shape really well, I think it just kind of feels weird with the long shorts. I feel like, they kind of start to like balloon out and become like really wide, which sometimes can be interesting, but it's not always practical. And also it requires a lot of intention. And when it's really, really hot, I find that it's best to not so much put effort into the intention of each individual outfit that you're styling, but more so put intention into the preparation, because when it's hot, like you can't think and you're tired and everything just for lack of better words. So like I said, I think it's better to prepare beforehand. That way you don't really have to think too much when you're making an outfit. You just kind of want to throw on clothes and get out there and then endure the heat, which I guess is like a small little bonus tip. For hot weather, the preparation probably matters more than like the actual day of getting ready, right? Preparation in terms of being intentional with what you buy for the summer and really thinking, hey, is this actually going to work very well, or is it just something I like the look of? Because when you buy clothes, it should be something that you not only like the look of, but is also going to fit and be practical. Of course, fashion is such a weird thing where like, it doesn't even technically always have to be fashionable or practical, because sometimes you do wear impractical things. How do you give advice on fashion? Because there's no rules, and then there's rules, and then people want rules, but then there's no rules, because then that makes things boring. So like, I don't know, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm going to move on. This is too long a tangent. The second type of short I find myself really loving is the short short. I think a lot of people are afraid of these, and I guess they're not technically trending, but I think they look so good. And the benefit of wearing a shorter short is it makes you look taller. And the other more obvious benefit is that it's cooler. You know, if you're covering less of your leg, then naturally you're probably going to be a little bit colder, or not colder, you're going to not be as hot. So I think short shorts are not only practical, I think they look good. And if you style them right, which my suggestion for a short short is, if you're going to do that, wear something big, oversized, and flowy on top, right? If you're going to wear the long, big jorts, something you can get away with is wearing like maybe a tighter, more fitted top. But if you're going to do the short shorts, personally, I think it looks better to wear something like big like this, something kind of like I don't care as much. I think the just rolled out of bed vibe and then throwing on this, I think it looks really chic together if done right, which I mean, technically you can say that about everything. Again, sorry, we're gonna go back to that tangent. I can't do it. But yeah, I definitely recommend trying out short shorts, even if it's something out of your comfort zone. The only thing that I would say to keep in mind with short shorts is try to get things that don't hug your thighs too much. So if you are a person with bigger thighs, this is probably gonna be a little bit harder to do, but get something that doesn't like slim and hug your thighs too much. You want something that's going to be a little bit looser, a little bit, you know, baggier, flowier. Otherwise, this just kind of like looks weird and like kind of gross. And short number 3, the reason why I hesitated to say 3 types of shorts, because I mean, this is technically kind of also a short short. They kind of all can blend together. There's a lot of overlap between these, but this is specifically an athletic short. I think that athletic shorts are severely underrated. I think that they're very fun when you style them well. I personally like to do it because, okay, so let me give you a little insight into my styling philosophy. I like pairing things together that are not necessarily supposed to go together. And specifically, I like pairing things that are more casual with things that are a little bit quote unquote more formal. So when you wear a pair of athletic shorts, typically it's, you know, like tank top, t-shirt, something you'd imagine I'm gonna go work out in the gym in. I like to wear them personally with button-ups or like a nice cable knit sweater. Obviously in the winter time or in the summertime, you're not gonna be wearing a sweater, but in the summertime, I love wearing them with a button-up, sometimes short sleeve, long sleeve, which we'll actually get to in a second. I think that it's just a little bit more fun. It's just a little bit more interesting. And also athletic shorts are great in the heat. They definitely help you to stay cool, but also be careful because you can go really wrong. I would say that less is more when it comes to an athletic short. There are some crazier athletic shorts out there, but I mean, you typically probably want to stick to something that's just 2 colors, 2-toned at the max. I would actually recommend 2 colors. I think that single colors are kind of not the greatest. Again, it depends, like everything. But yeah, I would recommend if you're going to get a pair of shorts, if you're going to do a solid color, I would recommend mesh shorts. I think mesh athletic shorts, severely underrated. And then if you're going to do any kind of other athletic short, get something like with a stripe on the side, you know, some kind of like embellishment down the side. It really does help, and it goes a lot further than you'd think it would. Next up, we're going to talk about a tip that I think is a little bit underrated, and that is wearing a long sleeve shirt. I know this sounds crazy because the weather's hot, but like I said, it's been like 100 degrees here and I've been wearing long sleeves, but the way I've been doing it is just simply rolling up the sleeves. I think that it gives a nice, like I said, rolled out of bed look, which I really like. I kind of really love the I don't care look. That's always kind of been something that I've been drawn to, but it's an I don't care look in a way that is still put together, right? It's not, I don't like actually genuinely not care. That's just like the vibe that it gives off. So an easy way to do that is to get a large oversized button. This is actually my favorite hack, and my favorite way to get shirts is you get a really large oversized button up, one that you like the color, the pattern, the fit, everything. And they typically fit down to like right here, right? So you go thrift one. Don't buy one new, just go thrift one. There's an infinite amount of them. This is vintage LL Bean. You get one that's really long and you have them tailor it up. Okay, so that it fits more towards, you know, like this. It feels a little bit more intentional because the silhouette is actually big, but the hem on it is still nice. Then what you're gonna wanna do is simply roll up the sleeves, and I would not do this haphazardly. I'll show you actually right now. Even though we're going for the, you know, I just rolled out of bed look, it's still nice to put effort into the other areas, right? It's all about, God, I hate the overutilization of this word, but the juxtaposition, right? This big, lazy, I don't care, slouchy shirt, but I'm gonna roll the sleeves very intentionally and nicely. Why? Just because I like that effect. I just like the, like I said, the juxtaposition of it, right? Blah, 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 blah. So the way I roll my sleeves, I'm very careful about it. I fold exactly at the cuff, and then I just fold over again, and I just make sure that this stays flat. So it folds over, and obviously you can't see this through this, but I'm just keeping this straight, nice and flat as I can. The top part of the cuff is underneath inside rolled all the way to the end right here. This part typically gets rolled up weird, but whatever, you know, you can't win every battle. And then I just do that a few more times, and I just make sure that this cuff stays nice and flat. I make sure the layers inside are nice and lined up too. And then I simply roll it to a length that I like. And now, yes, the shirt looks big, slouchy, oversized, like I just stole a random shirt. It's faded, but the sleeves are rolled all nice. And so even though the vibe I give off is kind of I don't care, the subtle details show that I do, right? The fact that I took time and effort to roll my sleeve nicely to make sure it looks nice, that shows intention, right? It makes the slouchiness and laziness not look actually lazy, but it makes it look like intentional. This also goes for the fact that I'm wearing like jewelry and stuff, right? Like that just kind of shows that I am a little bit intentional in my outfit. Again, juxtaposition, I wear a lot of loafers. So like throwing on these, you know, dressier, not dressier, but like these nicer loafers with this outfit kind of gives off the vibe of like intentional. It's like that effortless, like I look good, but like, you know, effortlessly, which I really love. I don't know how well y'all can see this, but yeah, you know, hopefully that gives you a little bit of a picture. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention about the hem that I would pay attention to whether or not you're getting a straight hem, like all the way across, or a curved hem. Like you can see that this hem kind of curves up like this. The main reason I do this is because of my body type, and a lot of guys don't realize this about themselves. So I'll say this to, you know, help you out, but also if you don't want something else to worry about, then I would suggest skipping this part. A lot of silhouettes that I think make guys look the best is when your body kind of looks like a clothes hanger, in the sense of like the clothes naturally fall off and drape you well, right? Which is part of the reason why I like a bigger, boxier fit and a flowier fit, is because it looks like the clothes kind of just hang off me, right? They just kind of drape off and it looks nice. I think that's like the most flattering silhouette for a guy. And part of the thing that makes clothes look like they drape is the chest measurement and then where it hits on your hips. So for instance, things are gonna look best if they hang off your lats and then fall straight down, and then they just get to fall straight down like this. Like you can see there's nothing touching this side of my shirt. It just falls straight down. I would call that a nice drape. For my specific body type, my hips are actually as wide as my lats are, if not maybe slightly wider, right? From here to here. You can't tell because of the way I dress, because, you know, I put intention in to hide that fact, but my hips are about the same width right here. So that means if I wear a shirt that's too long, it's gonna hit my hips and it's gonna fold over the edge. So it's gonna kind of, let's step a little closer. It's gonna hit the edge of my hip and then it's gonna curve around this. And now the clothes aren't hanging off me effortlessly. They're hitting this part of my body, and that's just not as flattering, I find, on men. So the part of the reason why I get my shirts hemmed up and I keep or even add this kind of curve shape is because it helps the garment, specifically when it's a bit more fitted. Obviously this is loose enough to where it doesn't really matter that much, but when it's a bit more fitted, it helps it to kind of dodge my hip so that the clothes are still hanging straight down and they're not hitting my hip and folding over. But that's also very convoluted, and something I can do in another video is, you know, dressing specifically for like body shape, you know, how to flatter your body as a guy, in my opinion, you know, like what I think looks the best in terms of a man's silhouette. And obviously this is specifically with my body shape, my body type, because that's the one that I have and the one that I know the most. But anyways, yeah, all that to say, I recommend trying to wear big, oversized, long sleeve shirts with the sleeves rolled. I think it just looks fun. They're nice and flowy and big, and if you get them really oversized, you can feel a nice breeze when you walk around. They look cool when you walk. They have that kind of flowy look, you know, that you think of when you think of summer and summer clothing, like linen and, I don't know, insert whatever. Basically, through all these ramblings, I just think this is an underutilized field. If you're gonna go for a short sleeve button up, try a long sleeve one too. My last tip for dressing for the summer is to shop where nobody else shops. And this sounds impossible and kind of dumb and kind of gatekeepy, but let me explain here, okay? All right, sorry, I think my camera died. I'm not really sure what happened there. So as I was saying, my personal goal with fashion is to express myself in the best possible way, right? Some people it's just, I want to look nice, I want to put together. My goal is to be very expressive, very creative, very unique, very out there, loud, crazy. That's what I really love in fashion. One of the easiest ways to do that is to shop where nobody else is shopping. And there's a couple ways to do that. The the one best, probably easiest way to do that is just vintage, secondhand, right? Go to thrift stores by you, flea markets. I mean, everybody knows that that's my holy grail. If you have flea markets by you, I highly recommend going to those. If you don't, then obviously Depop and eBay and Grailed have amazing options too. But I will say a very underrated method here, and I'm gonna leak some of my favorites because I love you guys. So thank me later because I'm leaking my favorite spots. Go out of your way, and I'll give you some starters right here. I'll throw some examples that I really like, but go through Instagram and follow pages that post vintage stuff. This can be a little bit pricier, but sometimes I do think it's okay to pay a bit more, at least in my own opinion, to express myself the way that I want, right? Sometimes I can only get pieces that cost a little bit more money, and that's okay, you know? A lot of my wardrobe is built from more affordable thrifted pieces, but sometimes, you know, I want that like 1-2 knockout, like that ringer, and like sometimes I can spend a little extra more money, a little more money for that. These Instagram pages are a great way to do that. They post curated items, curated vintage secondhand items, which is the reason why I love flea markets. So if you don't have an in-person flea market where you can go and see stuff that people curated, Instagram is another great way because you can follow these people who they go out and they have a great eye for curation, and you can find a lot of really cool items that you might not necessarily be able to find otherwise. That's basically the trade-off. If you have a flea market, I'd suggest go to a flea market, assuming they have cool stuff. If you don't, then follow some of these accounts. And as you start to look through these Instagram accounts, you start to like these posts, you start to engage, interact, then your explore page on Instagram, which I think is very underutilized, your explore page will start to show you more and more. So I suggest scrolling through your explore page, trying to find like shots of vintage items, click on it, go to the profile, see if you like the stuff that they have. If you do, give them a follow. And now when these people have drops, now you can shop from different curated items. Sometimes for a premium, sometimes you can find some that sell them a little cheaper. It just all varies and depends based on the amount of effort that you want to put in order to find these curated Instagram vintage pages. The other option in this same vein, if you're not going to do the vintage secondhand, is to find brands through Instagram. And this is going to sound so crazy because right now there's a lot of crap out there, right? There's a lot of really crappy brands who are scamming and doing not great things. So this one, you have to do a little bit more of a grain of salt, a little bit more research. But Instagram, I think, is a very underutilized tool in the sense that you can train your algorithm, your feed, and the ads that you get in order to find things that you like. So for my Instagram explore page, I'll actually throw a video so you can see. I've trained it to really hone in on photography, interior design, plants, clothing, just all this stuff that I really like, right? And I do that by going through my explore page and interacting with things that I think match those topics. And by doing that, my ads have been trained to show me things that I like. Now, that means I also get interior design stuff and on top of the clothing items that I get. But if you want specifically clothing stuff, then like go through, interact with stuff, and pay attention. When you get an ad, my camera keeps turning off, sorry. I don't know why this is happening. Anyways, this sounds a little consumery, but consumerism, things are bad outside of moderation, right? So as long as you're intentional about what you're buying, I think that it's okay. Don't go willy-nilly and buy every ad you see, but be intentional about the ads that you see. If you see an ad for a brand that you think is cool, click on it, go check out the brand. I've found so many brands that I really enjoy by doing this. I've bought a lot of items that I really like by really focusing and finding brands that just sent an ad to me. And then the more you do that, the more like niche kind of random brands who are running ads will appear on either your For You page or your explore page, or like in your Instagram stories when you're scrolling. I found a lot of really great niche underground brands with like only a few thousand followers who I think make good stuff, because there are people who make good stuff. There's a lot of people who make bad stuff. The choice is yours whether or not you want to put in the effort to find it. Either way, be intentional, put effort into your style, and you'll look better. So that's just some tips and things I've been thinking about for the hot weather this year. It's hot weather sucks. I hate it. I hate dressing for it. So hopefully this helps in some way or another. At the end of the day, if you're intentional about your style and you care and you put effort, you'll probably look good. If not now, then you will eventually. Like, it's just typically an inevitability. Inevitability. Yeah, inevitability. I am inevitable. That kind of thing, you know? So anyways, yeah, love y'all so much. Feel free to subscribe, or like, I don't know, maybe like or comment or something if you liked the video, or if you found this helpful at all. So anyways, yeah, okay, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one in my New York apartment. Anyways, love you. And bye.